Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier, and this is your Premier League preview. Match week 26, 12 weeks to go. Joining me tonight, as always, the Dazzler. How are we, Darren?
I'm all right, pal. How are you?
Brilliant. Really enjoyed that. Did you enjoy that halftime show that they put on for the Super Bowl?
That was right up there with the absolute top of the pops. That was, I have to tell you now.
I tell you, unbelievable.
And isn't it weird the way sometimes you enjoy something that maybe initially you don't go, oh wow, but when that hit, it was just like every part of it. Even Snoop, who would sell himself, like a cheap hooker, just mashed it up.
He looks like he's back. He looks like he's back mid-90s, doesn't he? And even the hologram. Remember the holographic thing of Tupac and all? The whole thing was just brilliant, wasn't it?
It was phenomenal, man. Really,
then 50 Cent came out looking like 500 Cent, but still, he can turn it on, can't he?
Well, I actually have a couple of tickets to 50 Cent in the Tree Arena in a couple of months.
Very nice.
I'll be rocking me out backwards cap and me gold chain and all.
Will Rosanna be holding you upside down like the video by the ankles?
Not unless you're getting two cranes to come along to the fucking O2 with her.
You'll have the same dimensions as 50 Cent the other night, is it?
Make 50 look like Papa Bleeding Smurf.
Jeez, what about Mary J? She hasn't aged a day. Sure, she hasn't. She looks the business.
Did you think so?
Yeah, I thought she looked great. You know the way sometimes they come back and they look, unrecognizable. She looked the business. She's a proper show woman, isn't she? She
proper show woman. Yeah, she is a proper show woman, in fairness to her. I thought Dre looked well, man.
Dre always looks well. Listen, if I sold a headphone deal to Apple for about, what was it, 80 million or 80 billion or something like that, something ridiculous, I'd look fantastic too, wouldn't
I? You look fantastic and you haven't sold that money, pal. Don't be worried about it.
Well, if Apple want to take me up on my headphone deal. Anyway, let's get into this Premier League preview. Enough of that fun. Starts off 12:30 Saturday. West Ham at home versus Newcastle.
I don't fancy Newcastle's chances half as much without Kieran Trippier, I have to say. He's going to be a massive, massive miss for them. Really took the mantle in that leadership role up at Newcastle, didn't he? Yeah. And I think he's been leading by example, and obviously with the goals, and he created a really good atmosphere. Eddie Howe just can't speak high enough of him. And I mean, that metatarsal injury, that can be anything from 6 to 8 weeks to 12 to 16 weeks. This could be season ending for young Trippier, which would be a really sad state of affairs because he had just got the ball rolling in Newcastle, got them into a really good vein of form. And they still got a few players coming. Obviously, the boy Guimaraes hasn't really hit the ground just yet. Matt Targett's got to come back in. Really good signings and stuff. Obviously, they're in form. I think going to Upton Park's going to be a little bit much for them. I just think West Ham are going to have way too much going forward for them,
Yeah, West Ham they have their own struggles at the moment as well. Their form isn't great either. They're relying heavily on Jared Bowen because, you mentioned it to me the other night, Mikel Antonio is not really hitting his stride at the moment, but this will be a game maybe he could get stuck in, yeah?
Absolutely. And I think, Antonio's one of them guys, he needs chances. And at the minute, West Ham aren't creating a whole lot. I think Bowen's doing phenomenally well to keep the ball rolling with limited, chance creation for him. I think he's doing an awful lot of hard work himself. He really, really is turning himself into a serious footballer, really, confirming why a lot of the bigger clubs in the league have a little eye over the shoulder looking at him, and how he's going about things. He'd be a great acquisition for a lot of teams in that league, I have to say.
Yeah. I presume you're expecting on Saturday morning that Kurt Zouma will have recovered from his illness, yeah?
I think he will.
Yeah, I would have thought so. What score are you giving me on this one? Tight one?
Yeah, I think it'll be tight. I think we'll go 2-1 the Happy Hammers.
Yeah, 2-1. I'm thinking the same. Yeah, absolutely. Next up, Arsenal versus Brentford. Arsenal have had a little bit of a holiday in the fixture list, let's say. But back at it against Brentford.
This is a great game for Arsenal, if I'm honest. We know Brentford haven't really been, the team in the second part of the season so far that they were in the fourth part of the season when they were really making teams leave it all out there to get results. Last few weeks, they've just been, stuttering and stammering their way through games and not maybe putting the performances in that we would have expected from them and stuff like that. Big news, obviously, this week, Christian Eriksen made his return, which was great in a behind closed doors game against Southend, and he even had a little assist to boot, which was great for them. But I don't think he's going to be in action this weekend. I think Thomas Frank said he's another week or two away from a game, probably towards the end of the month. I think Brentford are really in free fall at the minute. I think, the points they picked up early on in the season, they're going to need to add a few to it to just make sure they've got that little buffer. But I think this has Arsenal written all over it, if I'm honest. I think Arsenal will do this. Not handy, but I think they'll do it, they'll do it comfortably, let's say.
This would be kind of like the 1-0 they had against Wolves. Workman-like, but tough to get over the line.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it's going to be like for me. But I think at the minute, that's what Arsenal are, isn't it? Yeah. In the absence of a striker that could, maybe put a gloss or a shine on a performance, I think that's what you're going to get from Arsenal. Those 1-2
to the end of the season, 1-0s and 2-1s, that type of thing. Kind of thing, just get over the line. 100%. Is there a case for Brentford to throw Eriksen on, give him 20 minutes maybe? Like, how long do you hang around and wait? Because we know at the moment Arsenal, like, they're showing a little bit of form and a bit of resilience, but again, like, they're blunt up front. So, if Brentford were to nick a goal off a set piece or something like that, or maybe throw Eriksen on for the last 20 minutes if they have it tight, because it will be a tight game still, won't it?
I don't think, but from the sound of him in the presser, he won't even have him involved in the squad this week. I think he's probably a little bit away from where Brentford would want him and where Thomas Frank would want him to maybe give him even 20 minutes, Because you got to remember the level at the Premier League, the pace and stuff like that. It's phenomenal. It really, really is. Yeah. You don't want to send a guy in that's had something like that go wrong with him into a game where maybe he was a bit off the pace and had to try and do a little extra to keep up, Well,
you're going to have to push the button on him eventually with the way they're in
free fall. You will, but in another week or two when he's had a bit more training under his belt, maybe another behind closed doors match, then I think he probably, you feel more comfortable with it anyway.
Yeah, well, he's had nearly 3 weeks at this stage, so how out of match practice was he, Yeah, so what are you going to? 1-0, 2-1?
2-0.
2-0 to Arsenal.
2-0 to the Arsenal.
Very good. Good call. Not too bad. I'm thinking kind of 2-1. I think Brentford are probably due a goal, but more of a consolation than a challenge. Aston Villa at home to Watford.
Yeah, this could be a tough day at the office for Watford, couldn't it? Really could. I expect a massive reaction from last week from Stevie and the boys. Obviously, they went away to Newcastle. They were second best on the day in all facets of the game. They didn't make the first ball, they didn't make the second ball, they didn't get to the knockdowns. They just looked off the pace, and it's very un-Villa-like under Stevie, I have to say. But I do expect a big reaction this weekend. I think Watford have been struggling. I heard an interview today with Josh King, and he said, that since Roy Hodgson's come in, he's changed things and he's tried to make them a little more stable and sturdy at the back and stuff like that. But what comes with that is that, maybe that bluntness, and it's actually very, very similar to what's happened at United. When Ralph has come in and he's tried to solidify things at the back a little bit, and you've lost a lot of your attacking flair and creativity because of it, because we were free scoring in the early games in the season, and it's only since we've changed and everyone's kind of, we're working from the back forwards, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas previous to them, we were working from the forwards back, and I think that's the same at Watford. I think this is going to be tough for Watford. I see Villa maybe doing a little number on Watford here.
Are you thinking 3-0?
I think we could see 4.
4.
I think we could see 4 because I think the reaction has to be big, and I think on their day, Villa have it in them with the likes of Coutinho and Ramsey and Buendia and Ings and Watkins, So I'm gonna go 3-0 Villa.
3-0. Good show.
Yeah.
Brighton versus Burnley. Brighton at home.
Brighton at home. Obviously, they're going to be missing their captain, Lewis Dunk. after his red card at Old Trafford. But I don't see that as a huge problem. I think they'll probably put Veltman in to the centre back slot with Webster, and they'll play Lamptey and Cucurella in a flat four maybe. Burnley really struggling at the minute, aren't they? Just can't pick up results unless it's against United, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think they're really looking down the barrel of this relegation if they don't do something soon. I personally don't think this is the game for Burnley. I don't necessarily see Burnley getting that now with this.
Yeah, I think this could be an opportunity for Brighton to put a few goals in. The only thing, what about Burnley? What's the latest news on Weghorst? He's out, is he?
I'm not sure on Weghorst.
Because he went off injured, didn't he?
No, he didn't.
I thought he went off. Did he not go off injured there at the weekend?
I don't think so.
I thought he did. I thought they took him off. He got injured, no?
Not to my knowledge.
I'm nearly sure he did. Didn't they say, is that not what they said on commentary? Did they not say on commentary that hopefully it's not a bad injury or something like that, that they couldn't afford to lose him for any period of time or something like that? I thought he went off injured. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm just looking now.
Nearly 100% that he went off injured. That's what
he went off after 75 minutes.
Yeah, he went down though. He went down and he came off injured.
Okay.
I was nearly sure he went off injured, yeah. He went off injured, so they were saying that he might, they were hoping he wouldn't be out for any huge period of time.
Not after bringing him in to replace your goal scorer. He's a big miss as well.
Yeah.
And I suppose Maxwell hasn't really hit the ground running since he came back from the AFCON either.
Yeah.
I think, Burnley, I look at the team sheet every week at Burnley and I just kind of think there's a couple of glaringly obvious mistakes in what he's going with. And I don't think that's helping them. Like, across the back line, they're not terrible. You've got the boy Charlie Taylor, and you've got Tarkovsky, and you've got me, and you've got the boy Connor Roberts and stuff like that, and Pope, obviously. But like, I just can't understand why they wouldn't go with McNeil and Cornet flanking Weghorst. Surely they're their best three players in those positions. And then try and keep things nice and tight and narrow in the middle. You know what I mean? He's been playing a lot. Like, I've seen Aaron Lennon quite a few times recently, and I'm just like, what are you doing? This is such a waste. They started with Lennon the last day over McNeil, and you were just like, this is nuts. You're in a relegation battle. The boy McNeil's a smashing footballer. He really, really is. Him and Cornet should be trying to provide the ammunition for Weghorst and to get involved in the goal scene. I can't believe they haven't gone with them as a front three yet and pack that midfield and try and keep it nice and tight at the back. You could see them picking up a couple of results that way against some of the lower teams, and it might just be enough to keep them up.
Yeah. I think probably when he's down there and he's in the height of it, it's hard to see. You're in that you're in that bubble, and it's hard to see outside of it.
Well, he's probably starting to overthink everything now, isn't he?
Yeah, questioning everything.
I mean, isn't this something very similar to what happened to Dean Smith at Villa? Because when Stevie came in, the first thing he did was reinsert the back four that had been so good last season and stuff like that, Now he's made a couple of changes to the back four and stuff like that, obviously in personnel. But he got them back playing a very similar type of football and a very similar style to the way they were playing. The big issue with Smith was when he brought in the likes of Buendia and the likes of Ings and Leon Bailey, he tried to get them all into the team at the same time. Gerrard hasn't done that. He's gone, I need to put a team out that's going to get a game, going to get me a performance here, going to get me a result. I don't necessarily have to play lads just because I signed them. You've a squad for a reason as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I suppose the other side of it as well, he was backed well in the transfer window, like Coutinho coming in and Luca Digne coming in. I mean, they're two really good signings that are going to, prop up and boil up any kind of squad in there when you drop that bit of quality in there as well, So we have to allow for that. But we knew, how many times did we speak about Dean Smith chopping and changing and trying to figure out what the hell he wanted to do and style of play? He wasn't too sure, I think with him down at Norwich, it's fairly obvious what the style of play is because they only have one style of play, and it's It is what it is.
But that works, you know, because like at Villa, his issue was, I feel like the players lost. He lost the players a little bit because they weren't sure of what he wanted them to do, because maybe there was so many changes to go one way and go the other. Whereas last season, when they were playing their best football, you could name that Villa team week to week.
Yeah, well, he was rotating guys that expect to play every week. So if you do that, you're not gonna guys are gonna fucking get pissed off, like.
Absolutely.
So what are you thinking on this one? You're thinking Brighton, Burnley?
I'll go 1-0 Brighton. I'll go 2-0 Brighton.
2-0 Brighton. Liverpool versus Norwich. Liverpool at home.
Should be a handy day at the office for Liverpool. You know, obviously great performance tonight in the Champions League. Maybe not the performance they wanted.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have gone a great performance, workmanlike, but you know that's a poor Inter Milan side. That's a poor Inter side. Let's be honest here, and they made hard work of it and gave up a lot of chances.
Let's just talk about what your manager has said. Your manager firmly believes they're the best side in Italy. You know, that's what he said.
But that doesn't mean in comparison to Liverpool.
No, not at all. But I mean, like, you can say that they're a very, very poor Inter team, especially considering the first 75 minutes in the game today when they really put it up.
No, I mean a poor Inter side insofar as the quality compared to us. I don't mean they're poor within their own league, because we know that Serie A has devalued itself over the last couple of years and hasn't been the force that it was.
Yeah, but I still don't think they're a bad side, if I'm honest. Like, do you know what I mean? I think if they had a better draw, as in they didn't end up with Liverpool in the Champions League, you could possibly see them getting through some of the other teams.
Well, they struggled in the group stages as well. Remember we spoke about them.
Yeah, they did, but I think they're a little more solid now. Obviously, you had Inzaghi coming in and taking over from Conte and stuff like that, and it took a little while for things to stick. But you know, like, they're still in with a big spin of winning that Scudetto again this year. You know.
Yeah, I just in terms of Italian football, I'm a big fan of Italian football, but I just think over the last few years, certainly that you know, look at Juve. Where are Juve at the moment? Are Juve fifth at the moment or something like that, or fourth in that at the moment?
Yeah, it's absolutely not at the level where it was. Yeah. You know.
And you look at AC Milan. AC Milan were top at the weekend, and then Inter, I think, took over with their result. So AC Milan were top. Look at what we did to AC Milan in the group stages. We absolutely pulverized them. Yeah,
and listen, like, Italian football is absolutely going through one of its troughs, let's say. There's peaks and troughs with all leagues and stuff like that, and they're going through one of their slower periods. You can see from how the squads are made up and stuff like that, there's no major money splashed out on big players because it's not there. You know, I think Italy as a country is struggling a little bit as well, never mind just, you know, Italian football.
Yeah.
I would say at this stage, you know, Italian football is probably only on a par with France and Germany, you know, but well behind England and Spain. Do you know?
Well, it's well behind Germany. Even though Germany's going through a bit of a lull. I know Bayern are going through a little bit of a lull and stuff like that.
Well, I mean,
but then you look at Spain as well. Look at Spain. Real Betis are up there this year. What does that tell you? I mean, look at
listen. It tells us that there's a lot of rebuilds on the table at the minute at some huge clubs. You know, regardless of whether Inter win the league this season or AC win the league this season, I firmly believe both of them are still in transitional periods as football clubs. Yeah. You know. And to get back to the top table and to get back to European quarterfinals and semi-finals and finals, you know, they've a long way to go, really, if you ask me.
100%.
But I don't necessarily feel that Real are at that stage. Like, I still feel Real could compete. You know, obviously last night they played PSG and they lose 1-0 and stuff like that. But I would still harbour hopes for Real going through in this competition.
A lot of experience still there.
A lot of experience, you know, they know how to get through group stages. And I think, as we mentioned, like in the Ancelotti versus Poch war, like, there's only the 4 shots have been fired across the bow. This isn't done by a long chalk, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll cover it. I'll be doing a match reaction and a player ratings for the Inter game anyway. But I thought it was a poor performance all around the park. People
Well,
were very poor. Thiago anonymous. Trent was horrific.
I think it's the sign of a good football team. You know, you go away to Inter Milan, you go away to the San Siro. You know, you maybe don't play your best football for 75 minutes, and then you get in the coach and you've won 2-0. Like, it's a massive plus point for them to leave there with a 2-goal lead going into the second leg. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Barring Inter scoring the first goal away, this is done and dusted. You know, if Inter get the first goal, we might have a game on our hands. But if Liverpool score the first, that's good night, Irene. Like, you know, and that poor performance has put them in that position. So, you know, you've got to say, like, it's
well, see, that's why I'm saying that's a poor Inter side. You know what I mean? I mean, they dragged us down into their game tonight. We were so poor all over the park. No one was really in the game. You know what I mean? Like when you're bringing on, I mean, no disrespect to Jordan Henderson, but when you're bringing on Jordan Henderson to try and change a game, you know what I mean? That says a lot about where you are. Thiago wasn't in the game. Fabinho even came off. You know, Trent was horrific all night. Horrific. Never tracked back once. I could count on one hand the amount of times Van Dijk was tearing into him every 10 minutes about what his job and his role is and what he was doing. The likes of Perisic was ghosting by him like he didn't exist. You know what I mean? Like, it's shocking.
Perisic had a good game, in fairness to him. But I mean, that's
Salah never in the game. Cropped up and eventually got a goal off a deflection.
That's not something we don't know about Trent, though. You know what I mean? Like, it was highlighted tonight. Boy, it's been highlighted on other occasions as well. And I mean, I really can't believe that at this stage, you know, we obviously the signing of Tsimikas to come in and deputise for Robertson. I can't believe there hasn't been, you know, a right back brought in to try and challenge Trent a little more than he has been, you know.
Yeah, I think it's only a matter of time, you know what I mean? No disrespect. I mean, I talk him up all the time. At times he's absolutely sublime going forward. But even his forward play tonight now was horrific. But I won't dwell on it. We'll cover it in the match reaction and the player rating. So Liverpool, Norwich. Comfortable enough for Liverpool, yeah?
3-0.
Yeah, comfortable enough for Liverpool. Hopefully the boy Diaz gets a start. He came on tonight. He looked absolutely brilliant. Really put it.
He covered an awful lot of ground when he came on, which was something I liked, you know. He didn't wait for the ball to come to him. He went to get involved and get the ball, which is always a good sign when you have somebody that wants to get on the ball, you know.
Absolutely. Southampton versus Everton. Southampton at home.
Yeah, this will be tough now for Frank and the boys, I have to say. You know, he's obviously had 2 wins and a loss. Did a great win last weekend. You know, I think Donny was probably man of the match there from what I see. Had a very good game and stuff like that. Obviously, Frank has backed them to go out and put a performance in. But I think this will be tough for them. I don't think anyone's finding it easy against Southampton at the minute.
Yeah.
You know, United know what it's all about, and I suppose something that Everton have struggled with is in that back line and stuff like that. And I think Brozier could have, you know, he could really get in and bully those lads at the back there, the likes of Michael Keane and Holgate and Seamus Coleman and stuff like that. I feel like this could be a really tough game for Everton. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to see them drop a couple of points here.
You think Southampton run out winners?
No, I don't. I think a draw. Yeah, I think a draw. Like Southampton were good at Old Trafford, you know, they really were. They were great in different phases, like in the transition and stuff like that. Obviously with Brozier and stuff, he was just able to keep so many players busy up on our side of the pitch, you know. And that meant that they could get behind the ball as well and make it very difficult for us. He does the same again against Everton. Everton will struggle to break that down.
Yeah,
you know,
interesting. Yeah, I was thinking somewhere in the region of a draw as well, maybe, you know. If anything, I think either a draw or maybe Southampton might nick it.
I think I'll go 1-1. I think I'll go score draw 1-1.
Cool. The newly crowned world champions head to Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace at home against Chelsea.
This could be a bump back to earth, couldn't it?
You think?
It could be. Well, listen, don't forget, we watched you guys be absolutely battered there a couple of weeks ago and get out with a result, but you were battered. You know, Palace were so good that day. Very unlucky. You know, a couple of decisions went against them and stuff like that at key points. But I mean, against you guys, they were firmly the better team. Again, I could see this being a tough day at the office from Chelsea, but all the travelling and everything and stuff like that, you know, and maybe the celebrations might catch up with them a little bit. I think Palace could get something out of this, because I still don't look at Chelsea and see the finished article here, club champions or not. You know, they struggled maybe in the final as well. There's a lot of guys there at Chelsea that aren't firing on all cylinders. I think if you go to Palace and you're not firing on all cylinders, you're gonna be in trouble.
The Gallagher Kovacic battle in the midfield should be very tasty, shouldn't
it? Yeah, like, but for me, there's no contest there, genuinely. And I know people will think that's disrespectful maybe and stuff like that, but like, that's not even a choice for me. You know, that's Conor Gallagher all day long. You look at
crazy if he cropped up with a 20-yard winner, wouldn't it? Imagine.
Well, you look at you look at guys, and for me, you know, I'm certainly not saying Kovacic is over the hill, but what I am saying is, in their trajectory as players, one of them is going, you know, that way, and one of them is kind of leveled out and starting to.
I think this season he's come up a lot. He's probably been their best midfielder. And remember, he's in there, but he's surrounded by the likes of Kante and that. I think Kovacic has been Chelsea's best midfielder this season. I think he's stepped up a level big time this season. I
think that says an awful lot about how poor Chelsea have been at times.
Yeah, no, true. But I think in terms of him, I think his level of performance, I think, is very consistent. And I think what happens is he's let down by people around him at times. I think he's been very good this season, Kovacic, even though Chelsea have been on a bit of a lull. But I think if you look at his performances, I mean, he puts in a proper shift for his team every day. No?
He does, yeah. I look at him and I just think, like, you know, what is he? You know what I mean? Like, is he a defensive midfielder? Not really. Is he an attacking midfielder? Not really. Like, is he absolutely box to box? It's possibly the closest he is, but again, not really for me.
He's probably a little bit of it all, is he?
So then what have we got? Is he a little bit of a water carrier?
I wouldn't go that far now. I have to say this season I have been impressed with him more so than the others.
I think he's somebody that Tuchel fancies, you know.
Work rate. He would value work rate very heavily.
Yeah, and that's, listen, I completely understand that. I would value work rate myself, you know. You're not going to find too many United fans that are fans of Fred, but I am, because again, it's work rate. But and I would have the same issue with Fred as I would have with Kovacic, which is, if I'm playing in the midfield for Chelsea or Man United, I still need more than just to be work rate, or to have work rate, and to, you know what I mean? And I think from a Chelsea point of view, like, they should be looking at maybe, you know, somebody that can do a little more when they're on the ball and create a little more. Because I don't think he's necessarily a very creative player, and I don't think he gets in amongst the goals enough, you know. And if next season I'm Thomas Tuchel and I have Kovacic and I have Conor Gallagher in my squads, every time I go for Gallagher.
Maybe there's a case for both of them going in there, one as an anchor and one as a forward thinking.
Possibly, but then again, then you're saying he's a defensive midfielder, and I'm not quite sure if he's good enough to do that role. So, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a tough one. Listen, it's not going to be my decision. So we don't have to worry about it. It's not my problem. Do you know what I mean? I've enough problems. Don't forget.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what are you thinking on this? You thinking draw? After all that, you're thinking Chelsea 1-0 Kovacic.
I'll go 2-2.
2-2. high scoring game, nice one. Hopefully it works out that way. And then we have the evening game, Man City versus Spurs. Oh,
luckily, we're in direct competition with Spurs at the minute, which means, you know, we can watch this game and revel in the fact that Manchester City are going to absolutely rip them asunder. Because everybody else has over the last few weeks, and it's not going to be any different when the league champions and one of the best teams in Europe show up, you know.
Yeah.
And this is going to be very, very tough for Spurs. You know, this could get messy. Yeah. Like Guardiola talks last night about how he wasn't a fan of the City performance, and they win 5-0 away from home in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, Spurs are so far off that it's scary. It really is. And as good as Conte is, I just think not being backed in that January window is kind of deflated him a lot.
He'd be better off just going on the attack, wouldn't he, and suck it up whatever happens instead of trying to sit in, because you're not going to hold him. You're not good enough to hold him.
You're even going to struggle to sit in based on what you have to sit in with, you know? Like, who do you sit in with? Reguilon and Emerson Royale and 3 centre-backs, including Romero, Diaz, Davis, and Davinson Sanchez.
And then Winks in front of them.
This, like, give us a break here, will you? Jesus Christ!
I'm lighting a candle in the church on Saturday morning and all. I need a draw here. I need a draw.
I'd be lighting a candle as well. It'd be a little blue one, and hopefully City can do us a favour, because again, another defeat here for Spurs, you know, really helps us. Because again, I think maybe West Ham and Arsenal get victories this weekend, so we've got to at least put up our end of the bargain to keep up with this. You know what I mean? And keeping Spurs down is a big part of that.
I think another loss for Spurs, and I know it's Man City, obviously, but I think another loss for Spurs here, and I think they're really out of the top 4 race, aren't they? It's hard to recover from that, isn't it?
I think the only thing they have going for me is they've quite a few games in hand at the minute.
But that means nothing, as we've seen over the last 2 weeks, doesn't it?
No, not necessarily. You know, I mean, obviously City's going to be really, really tough, but I think because of how many points they are adrift and with the games in hand, like, I think they have 3 games in hand. So I mean, like, they could afford to lose to City, win their next 2, and they'd be right in it. You know.
Yeah, but then if they lose the City, then confidence is in the gutter in terms of the other results they've gone through.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to go with it. The only issue I would find there is, do they have the confidence and the strength of mind and will to get back up after?
I looked at that performance at the weekend. They were absolutely shot. Yeah, 100%. And to try and lift that up, and I think he's just. I think it's what you spoke about earlier in the show. He's so focused on defensive stuff as well that he's also nearly abandoned attack. You look at Harry Kane, and like he looks like he's hating life.
Harry looks like he's playing as the quarterback at the minute. He's having to come so deep and into that pocket to get hold of the ball. And then he looks up ahead of him and he's going, where's the striker? Why can't I hit the striker? And then all of a sudden the realization is, fuck, I'm the striker. You know?
Yeah. I've just picked up the ball, and not only have I to try and beat Bernardo Silva and Rodri, but I've also tried to get through Ruben Diaz and Laporte as well. And you're just there going, that ain't going to happen, Harry, no matter how good you think you are.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, I'm going to put it out there. I'm praying for a draw, but I think they're going to get rinsed. But I'm lighting a candle and praying for a draw because I want the title race to open up. Hopefully we beat Norwich and put a little bit of pressure on.
You will beat Norwich, but City will beat Spurs and the world will be back the way it was when it all started.
I'm just in danger of us. We're running out of the hope of big games against City. I'm not necessarily saying this is a big game. I thought it might be a game if they had a bit of form and were winning a few matches. They might have come into it with a little bit of swagger about them to put on a bit of a fight.
I think you've more chance of us doing you a favour than Spurs.
Yeah.
In a couple of weeks, you know.
But see, I need a couple of those favours though. Not just one.
Saying a lot.
Yeah.
That's how poor Spurs are.
What are you going on this? There's going to be a big number, I presume, is it? It's going to be like Sporting.
It'll be 3 anyway, won't it?
Yeah.
I'll go 3-1 City.
3-1. You give Spurs 1-3-1. Yeah. The only thing I suppose the hope for me is like with City, I mean, they haven't been absolutely blasting teams. They've been consistent and work but they haven't been absolutely torturing teams away either, you know. So
no.
We'll see. Let's see what work Conte's put in a week to see can he resolve that. I wouldn't hold my my hopes too high, let's say.
Unless he managed to sign 3 new centre backs in the black market, like it's not happening.
If I see Winks on the team sheet, I'm not even going to watch it.
No.
A matter of fact, if I see Winks on the bench, I'm still not even going to watch it because there's a chance he'd bring him on.
Yeah.
Let's get into Sunday. Leeds versus Man United off the Ellen Road.
This will not be tough. This will not be easy at all. Leeds will be massively up for this, you know. Obviously, we're one of their bitter rivals. We've spoken about it before, you know. There's a lot of tension there and stuff like that. I think this isn't a bad game for us because, again, as we've spoken about it before, you know, obviously we managed to thump Leeds on the opening day of the season. We thumped Leeds at home last season. We tend to get a couple of goals against Leeds. And I don't necessarily think Leeds have the firepower to keep up with us. You know, on certain days when Jack Harrison has a good day or Dan James has a good day, you know, they can get a couple of them out. But I think we could put a couple. I think this is more likely to be the game that we've spoken about, that maybe United go and thump someone, you know. I think it'll be really tough because of the atmosphere and stuff, but I absolutely think that this could be the game where we see the shackles come off a little bit. I'm really looking forward to see Jadon Sancho again. I think in the last 3 or 4 games, he's been our best player by a country mile, certainly offensively. And he's really started to look like the player that, you know, United fans thought we were getting. He's got a run in the team now, and he's looking very, very good. You know, we've been taking guys on. I'm probably going to go out on a limb as well and say he's going to win a penalty on Sunday, because I think these Leeds boys are going to be well up for it, but they're going to be a little bit too hyped up. And I think when Sancho starts going at lads, someone's going to throw a tackle in, and we're going to get a penalty on Sunday.
Yeah, good call. I was talking to a Leeds fan today, and he said, "Wouldn't it be gas if Dan James cropped up with a late winner?"
Listen, we certainly can't, you know, as United fans, we certainly can't give out about Dan James, you know. Put it all out there when he was in a United jersey, lacking the quality that he needed to play in a United jersey. But I think for endeavour and work rate and stuff like that, you couldn't really fault the kid, could you?
Yeah, he seemed to be out of the side a lot as well, wasn't he? That sort of press was out on him.
He was out of depth, not the side. He was out of his depth, you know. Yeah. He's found a level there at Leeds, and he'll do okay at Leeds. I have to say, he will. You know, his work rate is good. He's, you know, I think working under somebody like Bielsa will only help him, because I think at times he looked like that headless chicken who could run very fast but didn't necessarily know where to go or what to do with it. I think, you know, guys like that need and Marcelo Bielsa to say, okay, you can be as quick as you want, but you can also be very clever, and the smarter you are, the further you'll get in this game, not just you know, speed type thing. So I think it'd be good for Dan James, and listen, all the luck in the world to him on Sunday, but I think he'll need it.
What are you going for here?
4-1 United.
4-1 United. I'm going to go for a draw, because I think Leeds will get stuck in, and I'm not sure whether United will fancy it. So I think Leeds might be able to just get the draw across the line. I've seen with United at times when they come up against a tough side like Leeds, a dirtyish kind of side, they drag you down into it, and sometimes you don't fancy. So yeah, that's my thinking on the moment. So I'm going to go with a draw. Okay. I'll be surprised. I said to you already. About United. I fully expect United to go out there and smack someone up 5-0. There's no doubt about it. I'm not sure whether the Leeds game is the one to do it. I'm not saying they won't be open and they won't get the chances.
I just think I think with Ronaldo getting his goal last night, I think with Bruno getting his goal last night, and I think with the amount of chances we should be able to create on Sunday, I think this is the game where we'll see that free-flowing football that that we've wanted to see for a few weeks, you know.
Okay, interesting.
And we will be here on the mashup on Monday night, regardless. So we'll go through it then, won't we?
You'll be getting dragged by the hair onto a match reaction, depending on how things go. Then we round out the weekend, Wolves versus Leicester. Cracking game for the Super Sunday, I think.
Yeah, great game. Leicester obviously showed a little bit last Sunday, didn't they? The Foxes showed their teeth a little bit. I think they were very dejected though not to get that victory. You know, obviously it's
been the story of their season.
It has been, you know, and we knew they were going to have a reaction and stuff like that. But I just think I think there's a confidence issue there at Leicester at the minute as well. Not too dissimilar to what's going on at United. I think everyone's looking around and they're waiting on somebody to do something, and there's nobody going to kind of take charge of this and go, I'm going to run with this. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the thing we've mentioned is play players in their positions. Learn from what Liverpool did last season. Play players in their positions, and things will look after themselves.
Yeah, I still can't look at the team sheet and see Daniel Amartey and Wilfred Ndidi playing centre back, and you've got Soyuncu and Vestergaard on the bench. Like, as bad as you must think Vestergaard is, you've got to play ahead of two boys that are centre midfielders. You know what I mean? Listen, I think you do have to at some stage look at what's gone on previously and gone, all right, well, this hasn't worked. We need to make a change. I don't think Brendan is seeing it. And I think with Wolves, Wolves are going to cause them big trouble, aren't they? There's a lot of players at Wolves we like. I fully expect to see Jimenez this weekend. Got the goal, last weekend we spoke about.
I think if they want to have any chance of winning that midfield battle against Wolves, Ndidi has to go back in there without a shadow of a doubt.
Absolutely has to. And I think even at that, they'll struggle to win it with Neves, Moutinho and Dendoncker and stuff like that,
Yeah.
Wolves' midfield is probably the best part of their team for me, You can see why there's a lot of clubs looking at Ruben Neves. Really, really top footballer in there, still young, got a good engine on him, an eye for a pass, controls the game very, very well, listen, I think this will be tough for Leicester. But I expect them again to put in a decent performance and a decent showing. So I think on the basis of that, we'll call it a score draw. We might say 1-1.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm thinking, a draw as well.
Yeah.
And that'd be a good result as well, because Wolves are kind of in that top 4 picture, kind of.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting. So if Wolves were to beat Leicester, certainly they're sending a message that they're going to be in this race, pending other results. And it's good to see Wolves up there and stuff like that, absolutely, because they did have a tough start to the season.
They did.
So, but he's doing a fantastic job there now, absolutely. Well, this has been your Premier League preview, match week 26. Of course, drop your predictions down in the comments. If you want to contact us, we're on Twitter at @the_upper_tier, Facebook and Instagram, the upper tier. We'll be out on TikTok, no doubt, putting up content there on a daily basis. And of course, you can email the show, the uppertierpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what your picks are for the weekend. And don't forget to check out also, as well as the Premier League preview, check out our show coming up that we drop every Thursday or Friday, Beat the Bookie, where we give you our picks and tips. Till next time, my friend, a pleasure.
Thanks, brother. Take it easy, man.